The world's best companies don't just set up offices abroad. They build something more deliberate, a place where real work happens, real talent leads, and where transformation is deeply integrated with companies' core mission. Welcome to Great Global Centers, a series where we get an inside look at some of the world's most iconic companies building right here from India. Today on the docket, we have Novo Nordisk. The story begins in 1923 when a Nobel Prize-winning scientist returned from Canada with the permission to produce a new life-saving medicine for Denmark, insulin. What started as a small laboratory in Copenhagen has become one of the world's most consequential pharmaceutical companies with over $42 billion in annual revenue and medicines like Ozempic and Wegovy that have shaped global conversations around diabetes and obesity. The India Center is an extension of that same mission, bringing scientific and technological capability to bear on some of the most complex healthcare problems of our time. What they built from here is their story to tell.
Thank you. So my name is John Dawber, originally from the UK, been here in India for about 4 years. Novo Nordisk is a global pharmaceutical company founded in 1923, so we're just more than 100 years old. We have an obsession with diabetes. So about 95 of those 103 years have been around diabetes. Latterly also treating people with obesity, also rare diseases. We are operating in more than 100 countries around the world, about 60,000 employees. And in this place in Bangalore, in this GCC, we're now 4,000 people. So 4,000 of those 60,000 based here. Yeah, you can tell by so much grey hair. I've had a very long and so-called interesting career. I started my career in the pharmaceutical industry as a sales rep in the UK. Worked for another company for about a dozen years, and I was progressing through sales and marketing roles. My final role at that other company was sales director. That other company was actually somewhat competing with Novo Nordisk at the time. So I got a headhunter, an executive search call asking me to join or to consider joining Novo Nordisk as marketing director. At the time, that really felt like I was, selling my soul to the devil in a way. I'd worked in diabetes and a little bit in obesity for the other company. So I went to some of the physicians, some of the doctors who we'd partnered with for a decade or more. And I said to them, stupid idea, but Novo Nordisk have asked me to join them. What do you think? Kind of expected them to say, no, don't be ridiculous. But they said the opposite. They said, John, if you want to serve diabetes patients for the rest of your career, there's only one company to work for, and that's Novo Nordisk. And it was right then, and it's still right 18 years later. So there's lots of cool work happening here, and I could talk for an hour on cool stuff, but let me try and give some very recent examples. Anybody who Googles Novo Nordisk these days, they don't hear too much about our 100-year history in diabetes and insulin. Everything is suddenly about obesity. Took us a bit by surprise as suddenly TikTok took off and Instagram took off with our brand names. And the one in particular note is something called Wegovy, one of the obesity or weight loss treatments. So we've recently launched in the US, biggest pharma market in the world, something called the Wegovy pill. So no longer an injection, but now a tablet pill. And the entire value chain of preparatory work for that launch was done here. So the medical writers are here, the clinical reporting people are here, the regulatory people are here, the marketeers that set the strategy are here, even the supply chain people who decide how much the factory in America makes is also here. So we were able to collaborate that team and work in record time to deliver this blockbuster launch in the US. And when I say blockbuster, it's taken us by surprise too. You know, it's one of the most successful pharmaceutical launches ever in the US, to the degree that 500,000 patients were taking this Wegovy pill within 8 weeks of launch. So that whole launch, pivotal parts of it, were made here in India and built in Bangalore. Secondly, shorter story, we've recently got a regulatory approval again in the US from the FDA for a higher dose Wegovy injection, 7.2 milligram. And again, the team here, collaborating with the team in Denmark and the team in the US, were able to work around the clock with, again, regulatory, medical affairs, medical writers, clinical statisticians, the whole lot, to bring this approval in a fast-track way with the FDA in record time. So it's not now just a back office center doing transactional work. Far from it. Every one of the 17 functions is really doing pivotal stuff which impacts patients and people's lives in a real, tangible way. So what excites me about what we do here in Novo Nordisk GCC in Bangalore is a little bit around the scaling even further some of the pivotal value creating activities I already talked about. I mentioned the things we've done cross-functionally for Wegovy. We can do that for 80 or 100 countries. We can do that for the world. If we change our mindset model from just the functional representation to how we operate cross-functionally. So continuing to drive culture, engagement, pride, and patient focus in the employees here is something which excites me a lot, because that can deliver real value for our business and also our patients. Then secondly, I don't think any discussion about GCCs can continue these days without the mention of the AI or agentic word. And I'm curious, in a highly regulated industry like pharmaceuticals, how we can embed AI, and we're already doing it, but embed it further to do things at scale, to do things faster, and therefore to improve patient lives in a more meaningful way. So those two aspects, one's a people aspect, one's a technology aspect, I think is where we're going in the next 1 or 2 years in this place.
Novo Nordisk has always been a company with a purpose larger than its products: to defeat serious chronic diseases. The work being done in India in data, technology, and digital health is now part of how that purpose scales globally. This is what great global work looks like, driven by a mission that matters and built for the long term.